Hello everybody! I'm gonna be a little quieter because people are sleeping in the room next to me and I'm a night owl. But I thought because of that we could have kind of a chill, quiet video, and it's just in time for my book, Freeing My Alpha, to almost come out. It's book 2 of my Shy Alpha series, which is my Steamy Shifter romance series, so I thought I could tell you about it while I sign these stacks of books. Before I get to signing any of these, I want to just quickly tell you that I'm doing a live stream to celebrate the release of this book on Tuesday, the day it comes out. So this upcoming Tuesday, if you're watching this on Saturday when it comes out, on June 11th at 7 p.m. we're having a live stream party and I'd love to see you there. We're gonna hang out and chat. I'm going to read an excerpt from this book. We'll do a Q&A, and I'm going to sign at least 3 copies, probably 5, because I like to spoil you, like randomly selected from orders on my website. So if you want to order this book on my website and get a chance to maybe get your copy signed on the stream, it'll be like a global digital book signing. It's really fun. I always enjoy doing that for our streams. But I will see you there on Tuesday for that stream. I'm also doing a special on the ebook. I decided to put book 1 up for 99 cents right now to celebrate the upcoming release of book 2. So it's available right now on Amazon as an ebook for 99 cents if you'd like to own a permanent digital copy. And that sale ends on June 14th. So make sure to order that while you can, while it's still discounted. So the reason I'm signing these, first of all, is because I'm bringing them with me tomorrow to this Vancouver, Washington Pride, block party Pride event that the Romance Era bookshop is going to be vending at. So they wanted to be able to sell some of the new copies there, and one of the first times to sell it. So I'm very excited about that. I also need to sign some for Variable Creatives, which is a shop in Portland, and we decided that I'd also be able to put my books there soon. So that's going to be happening this week. It hasn't fully sunken in. My book launch is on June 11th. So this is book 1 that I'm signing first, a stack of 10 so far. And this series is like a shifter romance series, so it's like a werewolf book. Technically they're lichens, but we'll just say werewolf. It seems kind of silly to have such a serious topic in it, but these books have some of the most intricate OCD and PTSD representation that I've written so far, or published at least. I'm really excited about that, especially in this book, because in book 2 that's coming out on June 11th, because book 1 I think centers more around Aaliyah's OCD and the issues that arise when you're going into a new relationship, some relationship OCD, but also just in general, and how to disclose mental health diagnoses, or just any chronic diagnoses to a new partner, especially when you're worried about what they might think and all the stigma behind it. But the reason why I really like book 2 is because it has a lot of what I would say are niche experiences for people who have PTSD, particularly that pertain, that's a really fancy word that I never use, but particularly symptoms or experiences that people have who have experienced relationship and or sexual trauma. I think that I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you've started to read this series so far, we know that Aaliyah, the main character, throughout all of the books, she is relearning how to be loved and accept that after experiencing a traumatic relationship in the past. And Noah is a true love romance for her, rather than what she was falsely taught to think about herself, and about love in general. But what I think that is really cool about book 2, I'm not saying oh, I'm so cool or whatever, but the reason why I wrote this is because I feel like I would want more representation like this as a reader, so I saw I could do that and provide that for people. But I feel disability representation in romance is especially important because a lot of disabled people are stereotyped to be, and I'm talking about steamy romance especially, because I don't think disabled people like are featured in steamy romances. Like maybe like it's usually indie authors who would publish something like that, and disabled people are still deserving of love and like also like having sexual relationships, but a lot of times we're stereotyped as being seen as like not for lack of a better term, that's not really very nice. I'm really happy about the representation that ended up coming out of this book. Like a lot of Aaliyah's abuse stems from systemic misogyny, and her ex-partner who believed in a lot of that, and the book too talks even more about that, like in more detail, but not in graphic detail, like more in the way of how she felt because of that. And that's why I also really love Noah, because he is this big buff dude, and in those sense, like, because he's strong or whatever, he fits those stereotypes of an alpha, but he has, like, he understands things because he also has PTSD in a way where he understands her trauma and can help her process it with him, rather than like, because a lot of people who have experienced things or are disabled, like who have experienced trauma or are disabled, are then targets of further abuse. I feel like Noah provides a good example of like a loving partner, and Aaliyah, I try to write her the same way because he's in a very different place than she is, and he's more ready to help her through things, but he's not ready to face everything within himself. If you don't want spoilers, just plug your ears for 5 seconds, but like Noah needs all 3 books to finally get to it, so book 3 is really gonna like unpack even more of that for him. But I think he needs to watch Aaliyah, like in my opinion, I feel like he needs to watch Aaliyah do that first and experience it with her, because part of what I like about werewolf books are that they like have like this telepathic connection, so they can feel each other's emotions and like speak through mind link or whatever. So he can experience those things with her and see that it's safe. Sorry, I ran out of recording space. What I was trying to say is that I think no one needs that to help him self-process, also that it's okay to process these things, especially considering that like men have a lot of like stereotypes placed on them to not show their emotions, which is very much prevalent when you have someone who's supposed to be an alpha male. I am excited about how people seem to be resonating with it so far, even though it's not very well known at the moment. And like, to me, just providing the representation and putting that out there, like even if people don't take that part seriously, feels good as a person who like can relate to some of these topics. So I hope that it helps people. Like I wrote this like mainly just wanting people to feel less alone in their experiences and also feel like that they are deserving of love. So I'm excited to see how that goes, because like people on like I've posted draft versions on like Inkit, Wattpad, and Tapas to try to allow people to read it for free, and also like because I don't have much of an audience just yet that's like not super far reaching, I was trying to like get more people to have access to it at first so that like more people could read it, basically, because I want it to be read. It just means so much when people have told me already how it means something to them. That's like more than I could ask for, so I'm really excited to see, like, I feel like the niche experiences that I was referencing in terms of trauma processing, I'm curious to whether anyone will ever mention anything about that, because I feel like over time I've gathered information being like, wait a second, I wasn't alone in that type of thing, or like, wait, like this sounds so familiar, and then I realized like, oh wow, that's a PTSD thing. And I tried to put that into Aaliyah's experiences and Noah's experiences, like especially in the middle section of this book too. And I don't want this to sound like it's a very, like, disturbing book, because I feel like it has ups and downs, but like what I'm enjoying about this series is that the main couple basically like works through things, like no matter what happens they still have each other. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what people think about that and if they can relate at all, especially as I'm going into finishing book 3, which you probably are like, wow, that's too much for me to think about right now, but whenever I'm finishing up another book, I'm always working on the next one. And I write it before anyone really gets to it, because I want to have it be like what I envisioned it to be and not like any outside pressure per se. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to showing you more about it and telling you more about it. I'm not sure if that gives any insight to you, like any new insight, because I feel like that was pretty generalized, like, because basically, like, if I had to summarize this book, what happens is, like, in book 2, what happens is their relationship, like Noah and Aaliyah have formed this soul bond in book 1, and that's towards the start of book 1, so it's not really, like, that's what happens in werewolf novels if they're fated mates. And so now they are, like, their relationship is moving from, like, that new relationship energy into long-term relationship energy, I guess you could say. Because of that, they're starting to, like, plan more for the future, like what that's gonna look like, but then there's, like, a trauma retrigger, and then that obviously derails things and changes things, as it always does. But it's like, how then do you, like, navigate your relationship through a bad retrigger and at the same time still try to progress, and like all the emotions that come up, like I know a lot of people experience like, oh, I feel bad, like I can't function in the same way when I'm having a trauma, like a more triggered time period, I would say, or like an extended episode, because I feel like when you have something like that, it's not just like one moment. Like people would think like, oh, you have a freak out. It's like, no, like what happens is you get re-triggered, you have a lot of symptoms, but then it's like kind of sits like that for a while, and it can be like more activated for a while. So for example, you'd have more nightmares, you'd be more hyper vigilant, things like that, where you might not be at the peak of the episode, but it's still kind of like a humming presence. Also, at the same time, Aaliyah is in a transition period of like stepping into herself still, and Noah is struggling to shove everything down in his life, especially as more pressure piles up on him from outside forces, because there's this whole group of wolves who are like not agreeing with him. They think that like, oh, alphas should be dominant and take over everything, whatever, and he's like not into that. You know, if you've read book 1, he's like against like the patriarchy basically, and he like actively fights against it, but because he's the pack leader, he's like representing the pack, and people don't like that he's not going along with the like societally pushed scenario. Anyway, this book is about how they navigate through all of that, and they are also trying to figure out how far some of these pack issues go and what that means, because it's like starting to build. So this might sound like a spoiler, but I don't like all of that, but it's not, because this book has a lot of pieces to it, and like I feel like the most interesting part is how they do these things rather than like the what they're doing per se. Of course it's like super steamy too, so they are connecting and reconnecting in terms of their relationship and finding ways to navigate all of these different issues while still like supporting each other and like making time for each other. which I think are all super interesting topics personally. So I had a lot of fun writing about it in this context, like in a kind of fantasy, kind of not context. Anyway, before I start spoiling too much of this book, I should let you go. But if you would like to grab a pre-order copy, this is available anywhere books are sold. I have a link in the description. It's like bookstoread.com/freeingmyalpha, or you can go to riverkiteart.com/freeing-my-alpha, and that should have all the links ready for you. If you order on my website, I could sign it for you, like I just signed all of these books for the Romance Era Bookshop. There'll be hardcovers which are coming in the mail. I'm really excited to show you it, but I'm excited to tell you more. Thanks for joining me while I was signing these books in this like quieter, cozy style video. I hope I wasn't too quiet. I'll try to edit myself so you can hear me. Make sure to tune back in on Tuesday, June 11th at 7 p.m. because I really would love to hang out with you for the excerpt reading, Q&A, and a virtual book signing. So if you order on my website, you might get chosen to have your book signed on the stream, like on the live stream, live, where we can chat about it and everything. So I'm really excited to hang out with everybody there, even if you can't grab the book right now. And if you'd like to catch up on book 1, the book is still 99 cents right now until June 14th. So I hope that helps you be able to read. And I'm really excited to hang out with you Tuesday and celebrate this launch. But if you can't make it to that, then there's going to be a replay of the stream, and I always keep my streams up on the channel that you can rewatch and hang out and tell me what you think in the comments below as if you're chatting live. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you for the next video next Saturday. Bye!